Have you ever felt lost? Have you ever wondered what truly makes a person happy? Long ago, a crowd of people felt just the same way. They gathered on a gentle hillside, their hearts full of questions. They were fishermen, farmers, mothers and fathers. They were ordinary people looking for an extraordinary hope. And on that day, they found it. Jesus, their teacher and friend, sat down among them. He looked into their eyes and began to speak. The words he shared were not complicated rules or heavy burdens. Instead, they were simple promises, a collection of blessings we now call the Beatitudes. These powerful words are found in the book of Matthew in the 5th chapter. They are the very beginning of the most famous sermon ever preached, the Sermon on the Mount. The Beatitudes are like a treasure map for the soul. They don't point to gold or jewels, but to something far more valuable. They point to a life of deep and lasting joy. Jesus wasn't talking about the kind of happiness that comes and goes like a sunny day. He was talking about a profound sense of blessedness, a state of being that remains steady even when life's storms are raging. These 8 declarations turn the world's idea of success completely upside down. They suggest that strength is found in humility, that comfort is found in sorrow, that true wealth has nothing to do with what you own. They are a radical invitation to a different way of living and seeing the world. Imagine sitting there on the grass, the warm sun on your face, the air is still, and the only sound is the gentle voice of Jesus. He isn't shouting from a grand stage. He is speaking with a quiet authority that quiets your worried mind. His words are like cool water to a thirsty spirit. He talks about being blessed. This word means more than just being happy. It means being divinely favored and fulfilled. It's a state of spiritual well-being that God himself gives. Each beatitude starts with this beautiful word, blessed. It's a promise, a declaration of God's favor on those who might feel overlooked or forgotten by the rest of the world. These teachings have echoed through centuries, offering comfort and guidance to millions. They are as relevant today on July 3rd, 2025, as they were on that Galilean hillside 2,000 years ago. The Beatitudes are not just a historical text, they are a living guide. They are a series of invitations from Jesus to experience a life filled with purpose, peace, and God's special favor. They show us how to navigate the challenges of our daily lives with grace and strength. They are a blueprint for a life that is truly blessed, a life that reflects the heart of God. Let's walk through these beautiful promises together and discover the secrets they hold for us. Jesus chose his classroom carefully. He didn't book a grand hall or a formal synagogue. He led the growing crowd of followers up the side of a mountain. The location itself was a powerful message. In the ancient stories of his people, mountains were special places. They were places where God met with humanity. It was on Mount Sinai that Moses received the 10 Commandments, the laws that guided the nation of Israel for generations. By choosing a mountain, Jesus was showing the people that something incredibly important was about to happen. A new covenant, a new understanding of God's heart was being revealed. He was not replacing the old law, but fulfilling it with a message of grace. The setting was open and accessible to everyone. There were no walls or closed doors. The rich and the poor, the powerful and the forgotten could all come and listen. A mountainside has no reserved seating. This simple fact tells us so much about Jesus' message. It was for everyone. He wasn't speaking only to the religious experts or the wealthy elite. He was speaking to the everyday person, the one who felt tired and burdened by life. He saw the large crowds following him, and his heart was filled with compassion. He knew their struggles, their hopes, and their fears. So he sat down, a posture of a humble teacher, and began to share the secrets of his kingdom. Think about the atmosphere on that mountain. It wasn't a lecture, it was an intimate conversation. The people would have felt the breeze and seen the birds flying overhead. They were surrounded by the beauty of God's creation. This natural cathedral provided the perfect backdrop for a message about finding true life. Jesus used the world around them to teach profound spiritual truths. His decision to teach on a mountain symbolized a new height of spiritual understanding. He was lifting their eyes from their daily troubles toward a higher, more heavenly perspective. He was inviting them to climb above their circumstances and see life from God's point of view. So when Jesus saw the crowds, he went up on a mountainside and sat down. His disciples came to him and he began to teach them. This wasn't a random act, it was a deliberate, meaningful choice. He was establishing a new school, the school of the kingdom of heaven. The curriculum was unlike any other. It wasn't about gaining power or accumulating wealth. It was about finding blessing in the most unexpected places. The mountain became a symbol of this new teaching, a teaching that was lofty and divine, yet grounded and accessible to all who would simply come and listen. The very first beatitude is perhaps the most surprising. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Jesus begins by blessing those who feel they have nothing to offer. To be poor in spirit doesn't mean being financially poor, though many in the crowd were. It means recognizing our complete spiritual bankruptcy before God. It's admitting that on our own we don't have it all figured out. It is the opposite of pride and self-sufficiency. It's an honest confession that says, God, I need you, I can't do this alone. This humble posture is the key that unlocks the door to God's kingdom. When we empty ourselves of our own pride, we create space for God to fill us with his presence and strength. Think of it like this. Imagine trying to fill a cup that is already full. You can't. The new water just spills over the sides. To be poor in spirit is to present an empty cup to God. A person who is poor in spirit might be a successful business owner who realizes their success doesn't satisfy their soul's deepest longing. Or it could be a student who, overwhelmed by pressure, finally admits they need help and guidance beyond their own ability. They are the ones who stop pretending they are strong and instead lean completely on God's grace. And Jesus says their reward is immense. The entire kingdom of heaven belongs to them, right here and now. Next, Jesus offers a tender word of comfort. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. This is another teaching that seems backward to our world. Who would ever consider mourning a blessing? But Jesus is talking about a specific kind of mourning. He's talking about the deep sorrow we feel over our own brokenness and the brokenness of the world. It's the grief that comes from seeing sin, injustice, and pain. It's the heartache we feel when we have let God and others down. This is not the sadness of self-pity, but a godly sorrow that leads to repentance and change. It is a sensitive heart that breaks for the things that break the heart of God. When we allow ourselves to truly mourn these things, we open ourselves up to a unique and powerful comfort. God doesn't just pat us on the back and say, there, there. He draws near to the brokenhearted. He wraps them in his presence and fills them with a peace that surpasses all understanding. An example might be a person who weeps over a past mistake, not to wallow in guilt, but because they genuinely regret the hurt it caused. In that moment of sincere grief, they experience God's forgiveness and healing in a profound way. They are comforted not just with encouraging words, but with the very presence of the Comforter himself. This is the beautiful promise for all who dare to mourn. Jesus continues his revolutionary teaching with another unexpected blessing. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. In our modern world, the word meek often gets confused with weak, but that's not what Jesus meant at all. Meekness is not the absence of strength, it is strength under control. Think of a powerful wild stallion that has been tamed. It has not lost any of its power, but now that power is harnessed and directed for a good purpose. A meek person is not a doormat. They are gentle, humble, and patient. They don't need to assert their own will or fight for their own way. They trust that God is in control of their lives. This kind of gentle strength is rare and beautiful. A meek person might be a leader who listens more than they speak, valuing the opinions of others. They don't use their position to dominate or intimidate. Or it could be a friend who responds to an insult with kindness instead of anger, choosing to de-escalate a conflict. They have the power to retaliate, but they choose not to. And what is their reward? They will inherit the earth. This doesn't mean they will own all the property. It means they will truly enjoy the life and the world God has given them. They live with a peaceful confidence, free from the stress of striving because their security is in God. Then Jesus speaks to the deepest desires of the human heart. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled. Think about the feeling of intense hunger or thirst. It's an all-consuming need that you can't ignore. This is the kind of passion Jesus is talking about, but for something much deeper than food or water. He is describing a person who desperately longs for things to be made right. They long for personal holiness in their own lives and for justice and fairness in the world around them. They are not satisfied with the status quo. Their soul aches for God's goodness to permeate every part of creation. This spiritual hunger is a sign of a healthy soul. A person living this beatitude is the one who can't stand to see injustice. They are the ones who volunteer at a soup kitchen, who advocate for the forgotten, or who simply strive every day to live a life that is honest and pleasing to God. They aren't self-righteous. They are righteousness hungry. They know they can't achieve it on their own, but they long for it with all their being. The promise to them is simple and profound. They will be filled. God Himself will satisfy their deepest craving. He will fill them with His own righteousness, bringing contentment and fulfillment that nothing else can provide. The blessings continue, flowing from the heart of Jesus to the hearts of the people. He then says, "Blessed are the merciful, for they will be shown mercy." Mercy is a beautiful and powerful concept. It is showing compassion and forgiveness to someone who doesn't necessarily deserve it. It's when you have the right to condemn or get even, but you choose kindness instead. Mercy is looking at someone who has wronged you and seeing them not as an enemy to be punished, but as a broken person in need of grace, just like you. It is withholding a punishment that is deserved and offering a kindness that is not. Jesus is telling us that when we extend this kind of grace to others, we position ourselves to receive it from God. Living a life of mercy can be challenging, but it is deeply rewarding. A real-life example is a parent who forgives a teenager for a serious mistake, choosing to teach and restore rather than simply punish. It could be a friend who refuses to hold a grudge after being hurt, offering a clean slate instead. When we practice mercy, we are reflecting the character of God Himself, who is described as being rich in mercy. We participate in the flow of grace. The promise is a direct consequence. When you give mercy, you will get mercy. On the day you need forgiveness, on the day you fall short, you will find that the mercy you have shown to others comes back to you from your Heavenly Father. Next, Jesus looks deeper, beyond our actions, to the very core of our being. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. This beatitude is about our inner world, our motivations and our thoughts. A pure heart is not a perfect heart, for none of us are perfect. Rather, it is a heart that is undivided in its devotion to God. It is a heart that is sincere, genuine, and without hypocrisy. A person with a pure heart isn't trying to serve two masters. Their primary desire is to please God in all they do. They are not putting on a show for others. Their inner life matches their outer life. It is a heart cleansed of selfish motives and filled with a sincere love for God. To be pure in heart means to live with integrity. It's the employee who is honest in their work, even when no one is watching. It's the person who guards their thoughts, choosing to focus on what is good and honorable, instead of dwelling on negativity or impurity. The promise attached to this blessing is the most incredible of all. They will see God. This means they will experience God's presence more intimately in this life, sensing His guidance and goodness all around them. And ultimately, It promises that one day they will stand in his presence face to face. A pure heart leads to a clear vision of the one who is pure goodness itself. In a world so often filled with conflict and division, the next blessing from Jesus rings with profound relevance. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God. Notice that Jesus does not say, blessed are the peace lovers or blessed are the peacekeepers. He blesses the peacemakers. This is an active role. A peacemaker is someone who intentionally works to build bridges where there are walls. They don't just avoid conflict, they actively step into messy situations to bring about reconciliation and harmony. They work to mend broken relationships, whether in their families, their workplaces, or their communities. They are agents of restoration. Becoming a peacemaker requires courage and wisdom. It's not about taking sides, but about helping both sides find common ground. For example, a peacemaker might be a sibling who helps two arguing parents talk through their differences calmly. It could be a co-worker who notices tension between two colleagues and facilitates a conversation to clear up a misunderstanding before it grows into a bigger problem. Peacemakers absorb hostility rather than reflecting it. They bring a calming presence into tense environments. They are driven by a desire to see people reconciled with each other and ultimately with God. This is difficult and often thankless work, but it is holy work. The reward for the peacemakers is one of the most beautiful titles imaginable. They will be called children of God. Why this specific reward? Because making peace is what God does. It is at the core of his character and his plan for humanity. God sent Jesus into our broken world as the ultimate peacemaker to reconcile us to himself through the cross. Therefore, when we engage in the work of making peace, we are acting like our Father. We are showing a family resemblance. We are demonstrating that we belong to his family, and people will recognize the divine nature of our work. We are doing the very thing that is closest to God's heart. Living as a peacemaker transforms our relationships and our communities. It means we choose our words carefully, aiming to build up rather than tear down. It means we are quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. It means we actively look for opportunities to heal rifts and promote understanding. In a world that often encourages us to stand our ground and win the argument, Jesus calls us to a higher, more beautiful way. He calls us to be his sons and daughters by taking up the family business of making peace wherever we go. Jesus brings his list of blessings to a jarring and difficult conclusion. Blessed are you when people insult you, persecute you, and falsely say all kinds of evil against you because of me. Rejoice and be glad, because great is your reward in heaven. This is the hardest beatitude to understand. How can being insulted and persecuted be a blessing? Jesus is very specific here. He is not talking about suffering because of our own foolishness or mistakes. He is talking about being mistreated for righteousness' sake and because of me. This is the suffering that comes when our commitment to living God's way puts us at odds with the world's values. This kind of persecution can take many forms. It might not always be dramatic or life-threatening, though for many Christians around the world it is. For others it might be more subtle. It could be the student who is mocked for their faith or for choosing not to cheat on a test. It could be the employee who is passed over for a promotion because they refuse to participate in dishonest business practices. It is the ridicule you might face for standing up for what is morally right when it is unpopular to do so. It is the sting of rejection that comes from choosing to follow Jesus above all else. Jesus' instruction in the face of this hardship is shocking. He doesn't just say endure it, he says rejoice and be glad. This seems impossible. How can we be joyful when we're being hurt? The key is in the promise that follows, because great is your reward in heaven. Jesus lifts our eyes from the temporary pain of the moment to the eternal reality of our reward. He is telling us that our suffering is not meaningless. It is seen by God, and it is storing up for us a treasure in heaven that far outweighs the present difficulty. Our willingness to suffer for him is a powerful testimony that our ultimate hope is not in this world's approval. This final beatitude serves as a reality check. Following Jesus is not a path to an easy, comfortable life free from trouble. In fact, living out the other beatitudes, humility, mercy, peacemaking, will inevitably lead to friction with a world that values pride, vengeance, and conflict. But it also serves as a profound encouragement. It reminds us that we are in good company. The prophets who went before us were treated the same way. It assures us that our faithfulness is never in vain. When we are misunderstood or mistreated for doing what is right, we can be confident that we are on the right path, the path that leads to heavenly reward and the approval of God Himself. The Beatitudes are more than just a list of virtues to admire. They are a practical guide for transformation. They show us how to become better people from the inside out. Each blessing builds upon the last, creating a portrait of a person whose character reflects the heart of God. When we embrace being poor in spirit, we develop humility. Humility is the foundation for all other virtues. It helps us see ourselves and others correctly. A humble person is teachable, open to correction, and quick to celebrate the successes of others. This quality alone can radically improve all of our relationships, making us more patient, kind, and understanding. As we learn to mourn our own shortcomings and the world's pain, we develop a deeper sense of compassion. This godly sorrow softens our hearts. It prevents us from becoming cynical or judgmental. A compassionate person feels with others in their joy and their pain. This leads directly to being merciful. Because we are aware of our own need for grace, we become more willing to extend grace to others. We become people who forgive freely, who give second chances, and who choose kindness over condemnation. This creates a ripple effect of grace in our families and communities, making them safer and more loving places to be. The hunger for righteousness and the desire for a pure heart shape our integrity. When we long for what is right, we become more trustworthy and dependable. People know they can count on us to be honest and fair. This integrity, combined with the gentleness of meekness, makes us people of quiet strength. We don't need to be loud or demanding to have a positive influence. Our character speaks for itself. This leads naturally to becoming a peacemaker. A person of integrity and gentleness is perfectly equipped to resolve conflicts. They are trusted by all sides because their motives are pure and their demeanor is calm. Ultimately, living out the Beatitudes helps us become more like Jesus. He is the perfect embodiment of every single one of these qualities. He was humble, compassionate, meek, and merciful. He was the ultimate peacemaker, whose heart was pure and who hungered for righteousness. Above all else, he was persecuted for our sake. By following his teachings in the Beatitudes, we're not just following a set of rules, we are following a person. We are allowing his character to be formed in us. They are a divine invitation to a process of change that makes us better spouses, parents, friends, and neighbors. People who bring light and hope into a dark world. In the end, the Beatitudes are Jesus' answer to one of life's most fundamental questions. How can I be happy? His answer is revolutionary. The world tells us that happiness is found in power, possessions, pleasure, and popularity. Jesus presents a completely different path. He reveals that true, lasting joy, a deep state of blessedness, is found in humility, compassion, gentleness, and a passionate pursuit of God. It is a happiness that does not depend on our external circumstances, but on the internal condition of our heart. It is a joy that can coexist with sorrow and a peace that can withstand persecution. These ancient words, spoken on a hillside so long ago, are a timeless blueprint for a meaningful life. They challenge us to live differently. They invite us to empty ourselves so that God can fill us. They call us to care deeply about the pain in the world and to work actively for peace and righteousness. They encourage us to be merciful and to live with undivided hearts. Following this blueprint is not easy. It requires us to go against the grain of our culture and often against our own natural instincts. It is a path of surrender, not of self-assertion. yet it is the only path that leads to the kind of life our souls truly crave. Imagine a world where more people lived by these teachings. It would be a world with less arrogance and more humility. A world with more mercy and less judgment. A world with more peacemakers and fewer conflicts. By choosing to live out the Beatitudes in our own small corners of the world, we become part of God's plan to heal and restore His creation. Our lives become a testament to the fact that Jesus' way truly works. We demonstrate that true strength is found in gentleness, and that the greatest reward is not of this earth. We become living proof of the blessings Jesus promised. Therefore, let us return to these beautiful words often. Let us read them, meditate on them, and ask God to help us live them. They are not an impossible ideal, but a gracious invitation from the one who loves us most. They are a map that leads to the treasure of a blessed life. By embracing poverty of spirit, mourning what is wrong, living meekly, and hungering for what is right, we find fulfillment. By being merciful, pure in heart, and makers of peace, we find our true identity as children of God. This is the secret of the Beatitudes. The path to true and lasting happiness is found in becoming a person who looks, loves, and lives like Jesus.